Retail and hospitality is changing, with often complex and fragmented systems combined with large volumes of customer data for businesses to make sense of. It's critical to work with the right partners in order to guarantee success. At Tratec Consulting, we help retail and hospitality businesses transform their technology, removing overly bloated processes and creating unified and efficient systems of working throughout. So don't just take our word for it. See for yourself. Tratec Consulting, the leaders in technology transformation across retail and hospitality.
Hello, welcome to the All Things Borough podcast, the official podcast for Farnborough Football Club, and sponsored by Tratec Consulting. Tratec takes your business visions and turns them into innovative reality. I got it right this time. Last time I fucked it up. Simon, good evening.
Evening, all right, how are you doing?
You are, yeah, I'm doing well, working hard as usual, unlike you. But you're back, you're still at home. Have you lost your job?
No, it's hanging on by a thread, but no, it's still there. I've been to Southampton today. I've been globe trotting. I've been to Southampton today, Croydon yesterday, and the office in Sunbury the other 2 days this week. So
Hunting,
yeah, globe trotting. It was Southampton was all right.
Globe trotting, job hunting.
No, visiting different job centres. That's right. Yeah. I've been busy.
You know, it's considered fraud when you sign up for three different places, 3 different job centres.
Yeah, keep it on
the 3 different job seekers allowance.
Keep it on the QT. My name. I've used 3 different names, 3 different aliases. So and tonight, Matthew, I will be SJ Watson.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a reference that some of our younger viewers.
Yeah, you probably won't. No one will understand that one. If anyone, just leave a message in the comments on YouTube, and I'll explain it all. Don't worry.
Anyway, it's been a couple of weeks since we've done a podcast, but this weekend, we are playing Tonbridge Angels at their place, and we've got Andrew Boughton, who is a proud member of the club. Good evening, Andrew.
Evening, Alan. How are we?
Good. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Looking forward to. Well, it feels like only yesterday I was at Dorking, and all of a sudden we're back round. But looking forward to two consecutive home games for Angels. So yeah, let's try and get 3 points, which I'm sure you're equally hoping for.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
More importantly, Andrew, we don't really care about you. How's Bob the cat behind you there? Is he settled in nicely?
Yeah, no, he is. He's looking forward to it. He's a big Angels fan as well.
I could tell.
But no, more importantly, he's just waiting for his dinner, so he's hoping I can get this over and done with.
Yeah. I think that's what Simon's hoping for as well. He hasn't eaten for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, 15. I'm starving.
Anyway, Andrew, so you're involved at Tonbridge Angels. Give us a little brief of how it started, where you started, where you before Tonbridge, were you with anyone before then, and how you came to be at Tonbridge and what you actually do with Tonbridge Angels.
Yeah, so I mean, historically, and well, I guess still am. Unfortunately, a Man United fan. As I say,
we'll gloss over that.
Yeah, exactly. When I was younger, it was all good, and now it's.
I could tell there was darkness in the room when you said that. The darkness descended suddenly. Yeah,
bit of fun, but occasionally I used to go to Tonbridge, and then probably 5-6 years ago, started going on the regular. Enough of all these prima donnas, in the Premier League, and now I pretty much go most weeks if I can. A couple of years ago, I started getting involved in some of the sort of BBC Kent work at the grounds, and doing a bit of commentary or co-coms. And then more recently, I've been sort of on the media team. So doing some of the Twitter graphics, which I'll be doing tomorrow. Interviews with the manager. Just general sort of running day to day. Obviously as a volunteer club. Every little bit of help that myself or someone else can give them is massive, really. So
exactly.
I'm in a fortunate position that I can do so. So try and help as much as I can.
So what else do you do for radio? BBC Radio Kent, isn't it?
Yeah.
So apart from commentary, how long have you been working for them?
So just under about 2 years. And it's very much, obviously we follow predominantly, I guess, obviously Gillingham are covered every week, and obviously the last couple of
Mm.
years, obviously it's been sort of Ebbsfleet, Maidstone, when they've been in the National League, and then as it drops down, obviously the amount of coverage, I guess, drops off a little bit, obviously with Tonbridge, Dartford, Dover. But this year, obviously, we've got quite a lot of Kent teams in
Yeah.
National League South. So yeah, should be a lot of Kent derbies for us to cover, and yeah, should be quite an entertaining season.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of teams in the area that are similar level, aren't they? Yeah, which is quite it was either good or bad, and as you say, it means a lot of derby games and a lot of chances to play and
Yeah,
reasonable chance of success as well against some.
well, exactly, and it was one of them actually last year. Obviously Ebbsfleet were coming down, and we knew that from probably about November time. Maidstone were in the hunt for playoffs, and obviously could have gone up on that sort of final game against Bournemouth, and obviously sort of coming up from the Isthmian, we had Dartford and Dover very much. So it always looked like we may get a few more Kent teams, which is always good, local rivalries, and just builds the non-league picture in the
Yeah.
south end.
It's good for the area as well to have that many teams playing at a really, what is actually a really good level of football. So yeah, so it's really good for the area, for the people, for the teams that they support.
Well, 100%, and even lower than that, had the likes of Sittingbourne getting far in the FA
Mm.
Trophy and hosting Aldershot. Obviously, you got the likes of Ramsgate, we're doing well and getting a lot, improving. Folkestone, obviously ex Tonbridge manager, doing well. So
Mm.
yeah, it's a thriving scene, definitely.
Yeah, happy days. What's just talk a little bit about the comes and goings then at Tonbridge Angels in the pre-season, and you obviously had a change of manager, obviously a revamped squad, any sort of player retainees, etc., etc., and then maybe players that are Farnborough fans that are travelling tomorrow that can maybe look out for.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, it was announced, I think, back in March time that the Jay Saunders was going to be departing. Jay was a brilliant manager for the club. There's no bones about it. With what he did on the budget to stabilise us as a National League South was brilliant. But it also sort of felt like it was the right time to go. We knew there'd been reports, and actually, I think Folkestone had made a bid the previous sort of season to try and get him in. So, no real surprises gone there. But obviously, with that came fresh new faces. We had quite a long interview process. I think we interviewed sort of eight or nine candidates for it. We obviously had quite a decent amount of interest for it, and the board eventually settled on Craig Nelson, who probably isn't someone that you guys are familiar with, but he's very much come through the ranks very quickly down in sort of Kent and South East. So started off at Glebe, did very well to them, took them to they were top of the table. He left there to go to Lewis, obviously in the Isthmian Premier last year. I think first 5-6 weeks they were top unbeaten, and sort of again on a tight budget, settled for mid-table, and board have taken a maybe not a gamble, but I guess a calculated risk on a young progressive manager, rather than someone that's been there, done it, and is just doing it for maybe the money now or something else. So yeah, it was seen as quite a attractive proposition, an exciting time for the club. But obviously, with that comes a lot of new challenges. I think we've retained three of the squad from last year.
Wow.
So yeah, and those three are, well, two of them certainly you'll know. Obviously, Scott Wagstaff,
Yeah.
club captain, obviously was in charge when you guys came to Longmead last season. Sean Shields, say probably our talisman, and actually left back Bailey Akehurst, who we'd had before ex Jules. But other than that, and actually sorry, four Nazir back in the centre back that we had as well. So four stayed. So there's lots of new faces. Some of the recruitment has been pretty good. I'd say we signed Jacob Adams from Willstone in goal, and he's been fairly accomplished. Few from Lewis, as you'd expect, and I think myself and a few others sort of thought, oh, here we go, signing players that the manager knows from a lower league is not really going to work. But actually, probably two of them have probably been our better players in Matty Warren and Alfie Allen. We've also got the very talented Marcus Sabier, who's an ex-Bromley. And actually, sort of when he started at Bromley, I think he made his first team debut at 16. They thought he was going to be the next sort of kid off the block, and it hasn't quite worked.
Mm.
But you can see that there's a very talented player in there. Other than that, we signed a couple from sort of Chelmsford, Arthur Penny and Brad Williams, who have settled in very well, and we just haven't, well, I guess we'll get on to that, but we just haven't clicked just quite yet.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys are similar with what
I
you're
think it's
saying.
something that, I think it's something that we're sort of suffering from at the minute, I think. But going back onto you guys, the last season, you finished the season 17th place. What was the feel around the club amongst the fans and the people that work in there about how successful that was for you compared to now? Because obviously now you're after 5 games, you're sitting third from bottom. It's all relative at the minute because it's only 5 games into the season, with only 3 points. So what's the feel from last season going into now with all these new players as well?
Yeah, it was obviously with how we finished last year, tricky one. Obviously, the plan was for Saunders to stay till the end of the season. That didn't pan out. There's a lot of toing and going. So as I say, Wagstaff took over. No real no managerial experience, and it showed.
Yeah.
Respectfully to him, we struggled. We got unlucky a couple of games. I think we were 1-up away at Western when after 88 minutes when a fan collapsed, and so we had to go down there. And then 2 days later, and obviously lost 3-0, I think. So there were a few circumstances which meant we slid down the table.
Yeah.
I don't think 17th probably reflected our overall season, but certainly, I think our last probably 5-6 games we probably picked up 2 points, I think, from it. So yeah, that sums it up. And as I've alluded to, it sort of felt like a fresh start under Craig Nelson. I think there's an expectation that it's going to be tricky. Budget isn't the greatest. And especially this year with when you look at it, some of the investment that's come in, the full-time sides, I think the way that we're looking at it is it's almost 2 leagues of 12 in a funny sort of way. And if we can just obviously, not be the worst four of that, then we're doing a good job. Ultimately our aim this year is to stay up and stabilize and go from there.
Yeah, it sounds a very as you said, alluded to the sort of the players coming and going. And we think we retained probably like 4 or 5, I think, over pre-season. We've sort of brought in people like Rakesh Bingham and Don Polion. We've got Mason Bloomfield back, all 3 really good centre forwards. But we're sort of we're struggling a bit midfield wise now. We've got Aaron Cool and we had Billy Clifford obviously came in. We have two really good centre midfielders. Obviously, Cooley's out for quite a while now with a broken leg and then we've got defensively we brought in some really good players. But yeah, it's kind of like a little bit they haven't really gelled, and there's something not quite clicked just yet. But there's I think it's very much a similar story with us as it is with Tonbridge, as we were chatting off air before, and I think there's a lot of similarities between the two clubs. But I think what makes it sort of a must-win game for both teams, I think, tomorrow.
Yeah, I think, as I say, we've got no disrespect to either yourself or Enfield that we play on Tuesday night, but we are looking at it as a club of both winnable games, as I'm sure you guys probably are, especially after coming and winning. I think was it 4-1 at
Yeah.
Long.
I do. You turned us over at our place, I think 2-0.
Exactly.
With Sam Shields got both goals. I was well impressed with him actually. I thought he was fantastic, and I thought Jay Saunders actually did a tactical job on Spencer. I think on that one he tore us apart really. He had a lad up front as well. I can't remember what his name was. Really quick. Kind of guy, number 9. Jackson,
Robinson.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Trevor Robinson. That's him. Yeah, where's he gone?
He's gone to dropped a couple of divisions.
Has he?
Yeah, I think he's gone to Rains Park Vale.
Oh, really? That's
well,
he was fantastic.
He's doing well there. I see it on Twitter.
Yeah.
He's one of these
like
players.
step 4. They're like step 4, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. So he's incredibly quick, works incredibly hard. He just at our level, no disrespect to him, the finishing wasn't quite there. But that's not to say that another year at step 4, if he gets a move to step 3, which if he keeps playing like he is, he won't be back at step 2 in a year or two's time. I'm pretty certain of that.
Yeah, just surprising that. I thought he was really him and Shields worked really well together up front. Yeah, sort of Shields is quite sort of clever, kind of sort of knits things together type number 10 type role, and he was sort of the pace up front, and I thought he'd be sort of ran our defence or ran the shop all afternoon. I thought, but obviously it was a different story at your place. Obviously we turned you over quite comfortably, which was quite nice. I think it was that stage of the season where the pitches were terrible, and we had we go to your place with your 4G pitch. It actually suited us quite well.
That's always the trouble with the 4Gs, that so many clubs, as you say, get used to playing on not great pitches, and then they come to ours and go, "Well, this is nice actually." When we pass it and control it, it does what we want it to do. So it comes with its benefits.
Yeah, exactly. It brings us on quite nicely to my next question to you. I was just going to say, really, what are obviously Borough fans are travelling down tomorrow for the game. We should bring at least 5 or 6 to the match. So we'll
including us though, Simon, isn't it?
no, sadly not. No. What can travelling our travelling support expect when we get to Gravel? People who haven't been before. Obviously, 4G pitches we've mentioned. What's the facilities like around the ground? They've got a nice stand on one side. Decent facilities, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean the ground. Look, as I say, we talked off air about obviously being a fan-owned club. There's things we like to do to it, but it has its own charming features. As I say, we've got one long main stand across the far side when you get in, but I think we've got all the food facilities open tomorrow. So you've got a nice, you've got a pie shack, you've got our burger bar, which I think was voted by YouTuber Smithy the best burger in non-league football or something. So
I've heard of him,
definitely. And then we've got our fries like an angel, loaded fries, all that sort of stuff. So facilities are pretty good. We've got happy hours going on for beer after the game as well. If any Farnborough fans, are not desperate to rush off, and I think we've got a special offer on Carling tomorrow. So plenty for some Farnborough fans to enjoy.
I'm almost tempted. Almost tempted.
I think I was going to say. I think Simon's actually he's not even going to go for the football. He's not going to go for the football. He's just going to go for the food.
Yeah, I do my general burger rating. The Cheshire one was quite decent, to be fair, and that was quite about a good sort of 7.5 out of 10 for that one, which is good. But yeah, it sounds quite good.
This is a food and burger rating that no one listens to or cares about.
Yeah, well, in a few years' time, people will remark back to these podcasts and think, yeah, do you know what? That fat bloke knew what he was talking about. Yeah.
with the new season well underway now, you've been there a few times, obviously last season and this season. What's the general mood amongst the fans now with the new manager and the new players that come in? Some, like you said, some have come up a level or two to compete. Same thing that's happened to us, really. But what's the general mood amongst the fans now?
I think if you'd have asked me after last Saturday, it would be like a sort of sense of optimism. I think going to Dorking and the result on Monday, it sent a bit of a shockwave a little bit. In the sense that we've been very much up and down. We drew the opening game to Slough that we probably shouldn't have done. They probably should have won. We then lost away at Totton, who are a big physical side, quite comfortably. We then had a brilliant comeback away at Dagenham. We're 2 down within 15 minutes, and we're brilliant. I mean, I don't actually know how we were 2 down after 15, because we were actually very good, but they got 2 good goals, and we responded, got a 2-2 draw, back home to Longmead and 0-0 against Chesham, and then 4-1 at Dorking. So it's one of those where fans are trying to be realistic. Knowing that it's going to take time. Like, obviously, you both won't be there tomorrow, but it's a style that is it's new for the fans to see. It's new for the players. It's not something really that we've seen before. In the sense that Craig is very progressive, and his philosophy is about space and movement. So you'll see players going into positions that they shouldn't be in, because that's where the space is. Whereas I compare that to, as I say, us under Jay Saunders, and we were very difficult to beat. We were well structured, very rigid, and maybe lacked a little bit of creativity up front, despite having Sean Shields and whoever else. So it's different. There's a little bit of optimism. There's a little bit of keep the faith it's going to come. I think we played something like 8 pre-season friendlies, which is an awful lot, especially when, as I say, being part-time, we train Tuesday, Thursday. So all of a sudden, you've got a new coaching staff that want to have, they have all these new ideas that want to implement. They've got to get their methods across. Yet we're playing Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday. So
Yeah.
they have a Thursday, and that
Yeah.
is it. So I think before the season started, they'd had 6 training sessions. That's it. So
Wow.
do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And even like this
I
week,
think.
obviously they played Monday, couldn't do
Yeah.
anything Tuesday, so then it's been Thursday. So
Yeah.
it's trying to
I think
implement
this is
ideas and
where
get people
obviously.
learning.
Yeah, I think this is where obviously where some fans of part-time clubs like ourselves sort of sometimes fail to grasp is the fact that they don't train that often. So, I mean, like you guys, we probably train once, maybe twice a week. Last season it was just once a week, and when we had a midweek game, it was no times a week. And in this season, I think they've started doing two times a week, twice a week, and that was all through pre-season. And I think they're carrying it on into the season. So, like you, like we played Monday, Bank Holiday Monday, so they wouldn't have done anything on the Tuesday. They would have come in on the Wednesday or the Thursday and done something. Whereas if they don't have the midweek game, if it's just Saturday to Saturday, it'll be either Monday or Tuesday and Wednesday or Thursday. So I think some fans, it's not like the Dawkins and that go in 2, 3 mornings or afternoons a week, or the Dagenhams or whoever that can train more than twice a week. And some fans do sort of fail to sort of understand that one session isn't really going to, and if you get like an hour and a half with that, it's not going to really, you're not going to learn much, are you?
No, so I mean, I was there yesterday at training, and as I say, for the first 25 minutes of training, you're doing a few running exercises,
Yeah,
games, things like
yeah,
that, and then they split off. But how long do you actually get to implement ideas? You've got obviously the defenders
exactly.
that go off, midfielders, strikers, whatever. But
Yeah,
then at some point, that's all got to click together. And really, the time for it to click together is on a Saturday. But
mm,
yeah, trying to implement everything you've learned on a Thursday individually and as a collective of like as a defensive unit to then implement that. Going
yeah.
forward in the game scenario and combine it with what the midfield and attackers want to do, it's hard.
Yeah. I
It
think I
is
think
hard. It is hard.
the difference between a full-time team and then a part-time team in regards hours with the players, you're looking at Dorking of doing 9 to 10 hours a week
Mm.
minimum, not including game time, and then we're doing maybe 4. So that's the difference every
You're
single
lucky.
week. So you're looking at 6 hours difference a week, and if you take that
And
into
and
consideration through maybe a 6 week pre-season, the difference in
yeah,
hours is astronomical.
I
So
think
that's why
if
you
you
get a difference.
when you think about it as well on a game, they kind of because they've maybe only had one training session that week for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and you guys will be the same, Andrew. They kind of take the warm up session before a game as kind of like another training session, albeit even though it's only like 30 minutes long. But they don't do anything light or anything like that. They end up they do some actual drills and stuff like that, and then go off into the then they split off into defence and attack and midfield and do little bit drills with each other like in that way. So it's almost like an extra. They're using it as an extra training session, albeit a bit lighter than what they would do during the week. I don't know. Have you noticed anything like that? Like in the Tunbridge warm ups?
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you right now how Tonbridge will do the warm ups before the game tomorrow
Yeah,
because, as you say, like Alan, they've got to use that time as best as
yeah,
they can. Like,
yeah,
if Mark White wants Dorking to be in at 9 a.m. on whatever day, the players have to be there. Like,
yeah.
we don't have that luxury, and it's like
No,
they can send videos in the group chat or analysis of watch this, watch that, but there's nothing doing that replicates doing it on a pitch. And I
yeah,
think that's been potentially a bit of our downfall. From what I understand and talking to like Scott Wagstaff, for example, the research analysis that the coaching unit do of the way that teams set up, how they're going to play, is unbelievable. Like it is second to none. But for the players to try and do that with such little time is hard. And that,
yeah,
Dorking were 2 up within 12 minutes on Monday.
mm,
Not because, don't get me wrong, Dorking probably would have beaten us anyway. But the coaches said this is how they're going to play, we need you to mark these areas. Da da da. Dorking came out exactly what they said they were going to do. We didn't have men in those areas. Dorking go 2 up.
Yeah.
And at that point, by the time you've then taken it back on board or heard more messages and adapt, game's done.
Yeah.
Too late. Yeah.
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 It's about it's also the time in training as well. Is also you also take into account the time of actually getting the messages across to the players and them taking it on board. And sometimes you've got to really simplify things. Like don't give too much information to people because you know what footballers are like. They're a little bit sort of they've got their own ideas about things and
That's the
sometimes they
thing. It's
don't take things on
trying to
board.
work out how different
Yeah,
people take on information. Some like
yeah,
it, it's a bit like, when you were at school. Some people like it written as like stories. Some people like it
Mm.
written down. Some people have to watch it, listen.
Yeah.
As I'm saying, footballers have all their different ways and quirks, and I'm sure their own ways of learning. And as I say, you've
yeah.
got to try and adapt that for each
Yeah,
person.
yeah, exactly. I mean, like you said about Tonbridge, it's a very similar story with Farnborough's off the field activities in the coaching department because we've got Spencer's does his analysis, watches videos all the time, not only of just Farnborough games but also of opposition. We've also got Merrick who's been in this season. He works on the tactics board with the team and he'll do a little bit before the games about certain areas and things and areas to target and things like that. And Steve Baker's obviously really experienced first team coach, and he sort of does his as he say as well. You've got Neil Baker there as well, so they've got a really good team of people. But like you say, sometimes it's getting the messages across in the time you've got with the players is more the difficulty than the actual anything else. I'd say.
And that's probably why it hasn't clicked for us going forward. You've got new wingers trying to learn the moves the strikers are going to make, and is anyone going to be? Is someone going near post? Are we holding it, pulling it back to the edge of the box? Where are you doing? And there's been signs that we're getting there.
Mm.
And I think there will be a game at some point where it does just all click,
Yeah.
and we'll go score 4-5. But
Mm.
hopefully tomorrow. But obviously, if we're not doing that, then it's, what else can we do? Is it, how can we mix it up? If plan A
Yeah.
is, what's plan B?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very similar story with us. I think you're right. It'll take maybe 2 or 3 weeks for the ideas to get across to the players, and then suddenly you'll find maybe Farnborough and Tonbridge might end up going on really good runs of form because suddenly the ideas are getting across, and then it'll be up to the other teams to then try and adapt to what Tonbridge are now doing correctly, and Farnborough in the future. What's the sort of style of play with Craig Nelson? What's he like to do? What sort of formation does he like to play? Is it just in case Spencer's listening, he can save himself a few hours on the tactics board.
He'll be playing this in the car on the way over.
Well,
Yeah.
I was going to say, if I'm saying anything that Spencer doesn't already know, then he hasn't done his research.
Yeah, you're
Well,
right.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, you are right.
No, I mean, so look, this is unless Craig changes it, which, as I say, after Monday and the way that we played and the performance, he may well do. But I imagine we'll play a 4-3-3, which won't come as a surprise to anyone. It's what he sort of sticks to. But I think the thing, as I alluded to, the key thing for us is finding space. And it's if he watches the game back against Dagenham, for example, our first goal came from us utilising the left wing, and actually we had a player then had about 30 yards of space in the middle, and it was just about getting the ball to him, and from there he took one on from 25 yards and put it top corner. So
Nice.
it's gonna be very much a pass it, play it out from the back, take a few risks, but players will then pop up where there is space and where players shouldn't be. We're a very hard working group, which maybe we haven't been in the past. Players covering, different positions. As I say, when players move on, so for all of a sudden our centre backs in the number 10 role, one of the holding midfielders will cover his position. So yeah, when it goes right, it's exciting and it's very fluid. It's just hasn't, as we talked about, hasn't fully clicked yet, which isn't a total shock, but there's been a lot of positive signs.
Yeah, well, we tend to play. We mix our tactics up from what I've seen currently is maybe a three.
Sometimes during the game.
Yeah.
Well, Craig's like that actually. I spoke to him before. I think it's before the Tottenham game, and I said to him, "Are we playing a 4 or 3?" And he said, "Well, if Tottenham line up with a 3, I'll play a 4. but if they go with a 4, play with a 3. And it was
Yeah.
okay, like
Yeah.
fair.
I was gonna say, I think judging from what you said, I think Spencer's done his own work, which I'm sure he has. We might end up lining up as a 4 at the back tomorrow. But we have been playing a three. With the issue we've got that we've got the 3 forwards. And my own personal opinion is probably complete rubbish, and people will laugh. But I personally think they're sort of square pegs and round holes currently. They're not quite in the positions they want to be in. Like we've got Don Podion's sort of playing as almost as a right winger, and I think he really wants to be through the middle. Rax is a number 9. He's been playing from the left, and you've got kind of Mason Bloomfield playing as a kind of a false 9, dropping into the 10 role. But it's a bit, it's kind of like it's almost like it sounds really fluid, but it's not really. It's more rigid than fluid, unfortunately, because I think players are playing places they don't really want to be. And obviously we got Billy Clifford in the middle, who's sort of playing as a sort of a quarterback role. He's not your kind of your sort of combative tackling sort of midfielder as Aaron Cole is, which is a shame. Cooley's out for a while because they gel well together. But Billy's more of a get the ball down, tricky sort of passing type of midfield player. So and we've got a couple of young guys in there. Connor Harris has made his full debut last week. He's done really well. He scored as well against Chesham. He's a really tall guy. Works hard. And we've got some good wing backs as well in Diora Henry and Tom Bowers, who's on loan from Toby Bowers, who's on loan from Charlton. He's been a really good outlet from the left hand side. So if you're noting all this down, just pop it in the letterbox. I think that's what I mean. It's kind of like it's a shame I'm not going. I can't go. I've got my little boy tomorrow, but it's a shame I'm not going. So I think it'd be a really good game for the neutral. To be fair,
I think it will be a really good game. Yeah.
But as well as both teams sort of needing the result, it's almost like both teams are kind of like will kind of it won't be like we did like we had Western. They sort of cancelled each other out. Really, it'd be more the other way. It'll be more sort of everyone. What we do plays into your hands, and what you do plays into our hands. I think.
Well, I think when we were talking in a week's time, and our first 2 home games have been 0-0. And I think if tomorrow's 0-0, I think it'll be the first time in 90 odd years or something that our first 3 home games have all been 0-0s.
Really?
It doesn't very happen often. But it also wouldn't surprise me if either team won like 3-0 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like it has that sort of feel to it where Spencer's obviously come out and criticised quite heavily your performance. Our manager's done it in a different way, in the way that he does it. And so I'm expecting a reaction. I'm expecting both teams to want to come out, set their stall, and try and dominate. And if you try and dominate the ball, we'll hit you on the counter. And I think if we have the ball, you'll probably do similar with, as I say, that front 3 you've got. So it's quite an intriguing matchup.
Yeah,
it's either going to be one of those. It's going to be a high scoring game for one or the other. Or it's going to be like a really high. It's going to be like 4-4 or 5-5 or something stupid like that.
I just want to go.
Yeah.
Where I've been doing the like Twitter, we got goal graphics sorted, and then obviously our first 2 games were 0-0, and we lost 3-0, and then we went to Dagenham.
It's all selfish from you, isn't it? You just want to use your new graphics.
We went to Dagenham and we were 2-0 down, and I was there going, I just want a goal. I just want to be able to use a goal graphic.
Yeah. Well, we haven't had too many issues with that. We're just conceding loads. I think we conceded the most goals in the league. I think already. So but I don't know why. Defensively, we've got some cracking players. I mean, Louis Lomas is a really good signing. Robbo's been around the league for 2 or 3 years. He's a captain, brilliant player. And right side, we've got another centre back who's not even playing really, which is Ali Omar. I mean, he was at Torquay a few years ago. He's like Somali international, proper player. He can't even get in the team. So defensively, we look really actually on paper we look really strong, but for some reason we just haven't. We just keep conceding goals, which is a bit of a shame. But so tomorrow, I'm looking forward to a 4-0 drubbing tomorrow.
Well, I think what you need to do, Andrew, is take over part of the team talk and just sort of let them know that you want to start using your new graphics.
Yeah,
so they need to start scoring.
They know they love them, but they just can't put. Well, as I say, I haven't used the home one yet. We've had a couple away, but I haven't used any for the home kit. So fingers crossed. We've got 2 games coming up at home. Hopefully it might come out a few times.
Yeah, let's have a little chat about the club itself, because you said earlier that they're a fan-owned club. What exactly is different? How is that exactly different to compare? Because obviously you speak to the chairman, like you
Yeah.
spoke to the chairman yesterday. You said you interviewed him, but I'm assuming he is like obviously a fan that's leading this fan consortium to take over. But how different is it to having a normal sort of board and chairman at a club, and how does that differ financially as well?
Yeah, so I mean, first point, and you weren't to know, but it's a she.
Ah, sorry.
Now we have a female chair. Her family used to be very heavily involved in York City, and she's now
Oh,
been chair for I want to say 4 years now. Um, and yeah, so look, with us being, being a fan-owned community club, like every bit of money we get is invested back into the club and stuff. None of our directors get paid. It all goes on the budget,
mm,
onto the ground, whatever it can be. So, you can become an owner of Tonbridge Angels. I think this year it's gone up to 50 quid. Which obviously isn't a lot, but every sort of penny helps. And obviously for that you get to vote to right. There's obviously meetings involved, and yeah, we're in the process of looking for investment. I think we know how tough the National League South is getting. I think I even saw today like the likes of was it Ebbsfleet lost 2 point something million for
yeah,
their accounts they published 23-24. We have to operate stringently on that budget,
yeah,
and it's where when fans say, oh, why can't we have this striker or why can't we do that, we're tightened by how much money we've got, and as I
yeah.
say, we have to be very clever with it, and as I say, like any bit of money we get has to gets reinvested, and that's why for us, like anything we can do. Like last week, we raised the money, a raffle, just to get a pool table and a dartboard in the place because we want nice things and we want to get people there to stay, after the game, before the game. But it's us up to us as fans really, and actually the players contributed greatly to it, which is always lovely to see. Because we want to improve the club and we want to keep on improving, but we're stuck with what we've got, which is no fault of the board, it's no fault of the club. That's just where we are. So if there's any Qataris listening, anyone that fancies
Not
it,
sure many are listening to our podcast, otherwise we'd be asking for sponsorship as
We,
well.
we're very friendly, happy club. Please come and buy us.
yeah, we have got an international following on this podcast. I don't think it stretches to guitar, sadly.
Maybe the Isle of Wight.
I'm assuming, I'm assuming, yeah.
On a man, yeah.
I'm assuming though as well, because you said you've got a 4G pitch. The club is open every day anyway, because you'll have other groups, other clubs, other people using the pitch and using the facility. So the bar and the clubhouse is obviously open as well. So that's quite key for you guys as a fan-owned club to have all those facilities up and running and open every day. That's
100,
money, isn't it?
100%. But I think what fans don't realise is obviously, to get the 4G pitch in the first place, we had to obviously take
Yeah,
out a lot of loans and
yeah,
donations from people, which we're paying back.
yeah.
We're now 4 years into that. So
Hmm.
I don't have the full details, but there's rumours
No,
that the loans were almost actually increasing year by year. So it was like started off small and would end
mm,
with bulk payments. Now I think maybe we've got one more year. And as
okay.
I say, so in 2 years' time, we may have a load more cash because we're not paying back loans. But we've got to
Yeah,
get to that point and hopefully still be in the National League South, for example, to actually utilise that fully. So there's a lot of work going on. As I say, we're looking for investment. I know we've got a few ideas that I'm not going to talk about now that will be released by our chair in the coming weeks for investment. So there's lots of positives going on off the pitch. We just need to translate that,
yeah.
onto the.
But even off the pitch, so any positive that you can get out from the club and out to the fans for their information, it's only good. And it shows the fans that something is happening off the pitch that could potentially lead to something else happening on the pitch. If it
100%.
means more money, that means more players coming in, etc.
100%, and it's like I know I mentioned like the goal graphics again, but it's
Yeah,
things that we're trying to do on on the social medias to raise the presence, raise the profile of I guess just not just the club in Tunbridge, but in in Kent, in the
mm,
area. We've used Eastbourne as an example last year, looking at some of their numbers of how many views and clicks and likes have they got on some of their stuff, and it's
yeah,
astronomical. And it's like, well,
yeah,
if we do that, there may be, as I say, there may be someone out there that's looking at it, or someone that wants to do something, But if we get things right, off the pitch or as best as we can, then good things will come, for the club.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, yeah, I can agree more. I mean, it's obviously paramount to any success on the pitch is your attendance is really, 'cause that's your bread and butter, isn't it? And you need to be getting. I don't know what your average crowds are at Tonbridge, but at Farnborough we need at least sort of 1,200 through the gate really in order to start thriving. That's our target. And I mean, our average gates have gone up sort of a third each year for the last couple of years. We were averaging about sort of 650 for home games, and it went up to sort of 750, and then we were nearly 900 last year, which is really good. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
we're not dissimilar. I think I was disappointed that against Chesham last Saturday that we didn't get to 1,000.
Mm.
And that I think actually shows a little bit of how far we've come. Like 5 years ago,
Mm,
if you'd have said to me we didn't get 1,000, I'd have gone,
mm,
well, we're on about 500 now. So, you know,
yeah,
but as you know, results go up, fans will come in.
yeah,
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the key thing. And our chair put out a thing that obviously I was recording last night that basically explained up the situation a little bit. And said, look, we have Saturday and Tuesday, and then if we don't get the home FA Cup game, our next home game is in October. And for the club and for the revenue, that is a struggle, and
yeah,
that's just being honest.
yeah,
yeah,
And that's what we want to do. We want to be honest with people that this is our situation. As I say, we don't have someone that can, you know, just say, oh, well,
bankroll, yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Here's 50 grand. Here's 100 grand. Don't worry about it. Like
mm,
so, it's sort of not an SOS, but it was a call to the fans saying, look, stick with us.
yeah,
It's 5 games to the season. Come on, it's
yeah.
it's just over a tenth of the way there. Like, come
And
support.
I know we asked this earlier, but you are finding that fans, the majority of fans are supportive and can see that sort of that vision from the manager and the club.
Yeah,
Um,
no,
in the
100%.
future, it'll be good.
They can see positive signs.
Yeah.
They also know it's a tough. I think having that a bit more openness means that they know, oh, okay, we're not going to be able to compete with you Ebbsfleet. Two of our centre backs went to Ebbsfleet in the summer because Ebbsfleet are
Mm,
full time. You can offer a lot more money. So I think there was a sense when things like that happen, people take note and go, oh, okay, like makes sense now. So
yeah.
that say fans are positive. Fans are behind Craig. Even as I say, even after Dorking on Monday, I think we took 100 just over 150 to Dorking, and the
That's
vast
good.
majority stayed. Even as I say, obviously performance wasn't great. Craig spoke to all the players, quite a long conversation. Then him and the staff all got together, and then they went and clapped the fans. And so it must have been a good 10 minutes after the game, the vast majority of fans stayed, and clapped the players and staff
Mm,
after that. And as I say, I think that shows where we're at. They
yeah.
like it. It's a breath of fresh air. It will work, but it's just not working just
Mm,
yet.
yeah. Good. Well, I think that's very similar stage of where we're at. Unfortunately, we had just under 1,000 for our last home game, which unfortunately we lost 3-1 to Weston. It wasn't the best. Well, was it? As everyone knows, it wasn't the best performance. Really, it's a bit of a shame, really. So we were obviously trying to get fans through, and a lot of the fans, when the third goal went in, sort of towards the end of the game, a penalty, a lot of the fans were left in their droves. Unfortunately, which is a shame, really. But yeah, as you say, it's these things take time, and it's not Rome wasn't built in a day, was it? So it's got to be. It will take a bit of time.
I
Is
think
there
I think ultimately for both sides, no one's adrift at the bottom or anything like that. 5 games in the league, silly,
Yeah.
silly. And
Yeah, I
you
mean,
also
Yeah.
it
said,
it was. I have to say, I predicted this like season. I think there's a lot of there's teams that are going to take points off everybody, and I think the team who wins the league will be the team that takes most points off the teams at the top. That was my thing, and I think teams like Ebbsfleet, Dagenham, Torquay, if they can take points, and Dorking, if they can start taking points from the teams around them at the top, then they'll probably end up winning. If they don't,
if you'd have said 5 games in that what Dover, Hornchurch,
yeah,
would be,
yeah,
you'd have gone absolutely no chance. So
yeah. I mean, even Enfield have picked some points up as well, haven't they? They're not down the bottom either.
Tottenham,
yeah,
nice.
Tottenham have done well. It had that kind of feel to it, didn't it? There was a lot of even the teams that came up this season. They were not. I mean, Horsham have got a really good non-league record, and Tottenham spent a few quid, and Hornchurch obviously improved as well this season. They've done really well, and it's kind of it did have that feel to it, being quite an open league and really difficult to predict. And there's definitely going to be points taken, teams taking points of everybody really. But just hope it isn't tomorrow with your lot against the Borough. Yeah. So anything else you want to mention, Andrew, before we log off?
No, I mean, look, I think, obviously, I guess we've obviously spoken about it a little bit, but obviously everyone at Tonbridge sends their sort of thoughts, but obviously with Aaron, we know what a class player he is, and obviously that was, pretty harrowing to even just follow it last week on Twitter as I did. So, thoughts are with him. But
thanks, Andrew. Appreciate that.
We very much look forward to seeing Farnborough again tomorrow. Back to back with yellow kits. We had Chesham in yellow last week. Farnborough, well, and I think we had Slough in sort of yellow the week before. So everyone seems to be having yellow.
They're sort of gold and black, aren't they? Slough. Yeah. Chesham brought their away kit, did they, for your game? That's interesting.
Yeah. So we look forward to it tomorrow. I think weather's not meant to be great, but for all the travelling Farnborough fans, hope the M25's kind, and look forward to it tomorrow, and come and enjoy a burger and chips.
Yeah, happy days. The burger sounds good. As I said, I'm almost tempted, but
he's not almost tempted. I think he is tempted.
Yeah, I've just booked a ticket online while we were chatting there. So happy days. I'll see you there.
Anyway, so we'll end it there. Thanks for coming on, Andrew. It's been a great pleasure chatting to you about all things Tonbridge. Wish you all the best for the rest of the season. Not tomorrow, obviously, but for the rest of the season. We wish you all the best, and hopefully things start picking up, because it seems like it will, because it seems like you've got a good manager there, and a decent set of players.
I appreciate it.
Don't go away. We'll have a little chat afterwards. Simon, you got anything to say?
No, other than goodbye.
Well,
best of luck to the Borough tomorrow. Not a nice. As a nice 3-0 success away would be quite nice, but I'll take 1-0 now if you ask me that. Safe travels to all the Farnborough fans, Carl and Kelly, especially I know you're going, so happy days. Enjoy the game, and we'll see it home to Dover on the 6th. I think that's our next home game. We got obviously in between that we got Chelmsford away on Monday, so another Monday trip. So happy days up the Borough.
All right. It leaves me to say this episode was sponsored by Tratec Consulting, taking your business visions and turning them into innovative reality. For more information, visit tratecconsulting.co.uk. Thanks to everybody for watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks, probably, with another episode. See you all soon.